A powerful and historic weather event is unfolding, and it is capturing the attention of meteorologists, residents, and emergency officials across the Deep South. Regions that are far more familiar with mild winters, cool rain, and occasional cold snaps are now preparing for something extraordinarily rare: a deep snowfall brought by a powerful blizzard system. For many communities across the southern United States, this is not just another winter forecast. This is a moment that could become part of local history. When people think of blizzards, their minds usually turn to the northern plains, the Midwest, or the mountains. Snowstorms belong to places like Minnesota, Colorado, or New York. But nature does not always follow expectations. Every once in a while, atmospheric patterns align in such a precise way that even warm southern states can find themselves under a blanket of snow. That is exactly what forecasters are warning about now. Meteorologists are closely tracking a powerful Arctic air mass moving southward, pushing deep into areas that rarely see freezing temperatures for extended periods. At the same time, a strong moisture system from the Gulf of Mexico is moving north. When these two forces collide, the result can be dramatic. Cold air provides the freezing temperatures necessary for snow, while Gulf moisture supplies the fuel that turns light flurries into heavy snowfall. What makes this forecast so unusual is not just the presence of snow, but the potential depth and intensity. Some projections suggest that several southern states could see snowfall totals that would normally only occur once in a generation. Cities that might see snow once every few years could suddenly wake up to multiple inches on the ground, transforming roads, rooftops, and fields into a white landscape rarely seen in the region. For residents of the Deep South, snowfall can be both magical and disruptive. Children may rush outside to build their first snowmen, but the reality is that southern infrastructure is not designed for winter storms of this magnitude. Roads are not typically treated with salt in advance, snowplows are scarce, and many drivers have little experience navigating icy streets. Even a few inches of snow can bring transportation to a standstill. Emergency officials are urging residents to take the warning seriously. While the snow may appear beautiful, the conditions surrounding a blizzard can quickly become dangerous. Strong winds may reduce visibility, creating whiteout conditions in some areas. Power outages could occur if heavy snow and ice accumulate on power lines and trees. Travel may become hazardous, especially overnight when temperatures drop and roads freeze solid. Communities across the region are already beginning preparations. Stores are seeing increased demand for basic supplies such as food, water, flashlights, and batteries. Schools are reviewing contingency plans for closures. Local governments are preparing emergency response teams in case roadways become impassable or power outages affect large neighborhoods. Weather experts stress that forecasts continue to evolve as the system develops. Small changes in temperature or storm track can significantly alter snowfall totals. If temperatures remain just above freezing, precipitation could fall as cold rain instead of snow. But if the cold air holds firmly in place, the Deep South could experience a snowfall event that residents will remember for decades. For many people, the idea of snow falling across southern landscapes feels almost surreal. Palm trees dusted in white, quiet neighborhoods covered in snow, and highways transformed into frozen ribbons are images that rarely belong to this part of the country. Yet weather history shows that rare events do occur, and when they do, they leave lasting impressions on communities. The most important message right now is preparation and awareness. Pay close attention to local forecasts, listen to guidance from weather officials, and avoid unnecessary travel if conditions worsen. Stock up on essentials, keep devices charged, and make sure family members are aware of the developing situation. This storm may turn out to be a brief winter spectacle, or it could become a truly historic moment for the region. Either way, the coming days will be closely watched by meteorologists and residents alike. The Deep South may soon witness something that few generations have seen before: a powerful winter storm bringing rare snowfall to a region where snow is usually just a distant dream. Rare blizzard in the Deep South. Meteorologists are warning about a historic winter storm that could bring significant snowfall to southern U.S. states, where snow is extremely uncommon. The possibility of a rare blizzard sweeping across the Deep South has captured the attention of meteorologists, local authorities, and residents who are unaccustomed to severe winter weather. For many people living in this region, Snow is more of a novelty than a seasonal expectation. Winters are usually mild, with cool temperatures and occasional cold rain rather than thick blankets of snow. Because of this, the current forecast warning of a powerful winter storm has created a mixture of curiosity, excitement, and concern across several southern states. Weather experts are describing the situation as highly unusual, because the atmospheric setup required to produce significant snowfall in the deep south does not occur very often. Typically, the cold air necessary for snow remains far to the north, while southern states stay warm enough for rain. However, in rare circumstances, strong Arctic air masses can push far southward, bringing freezing temperatures to regions that normally remain well above the freezing mark. When this happens at the same time that moisture from the Gulf of Mexico moves northward, the ingredients for a winter storm suddenly come together. This is exactly the pattern meteorologists are currently observing. A deep surge of Arctic air is advancing south, lowering temperatures across areas that rarely experience prolonged freezing conditions. At the same time, a moisture-rich system from the Gulf is feeding clouds and precipitation into the region. When these two powerful forces meet, the stage is set for snow rather than rain. If temperatures remain cold enough, precipitation falling from the clouds will freeze into snowflakes instead of raindrops, potentially creating steady snowfall across parts of the deep south. What makes this forecast especially noteworthy is not just the possibility of snow, but the amount that could fall. In many southern cities, even a light dusting of snow is considered unusual. Residents may only see snow once every few years, and sometimes even less frequently than that. Because of this rarity, the idea that several inches of snow could accumulate on roads, rooftops, and fields is remarkable. For some communities, this storm could produce snowfall totals that rival or exceed events recorded decades ago. For many residents, the thought of snow covering familiar landscapes brings a sense of wonder. Streets that are normally lined with green lawns and palm trees may suddenly appear transformed into bright white winter scenes. Children who have rarely experienced snowfall may rush outside to see snowflakes falling from the sky for the first time. Photographs and videos of snow-covered neighborhoods often spread quickly across social media whenever such rare events occur in the South. At the same time, weather experts are reminding the public that these storms can also bring serious challenges. Because snowfall is so uncommon in the region, many communities do not have the equipment or infrastructure needed to handle icy conditions effectively. Snowplows and salt trucks are limited, and many drivers lack experience navigating snow-covered roads. Even a small amount of snow can quickly lead to slippery streets and dangerous travel conditions. Meteorologists are continuing to monitor the storm closely as it develops, watching temperature trends and storm movement hour by hour. Small changes in the path of the system or the strength of the cold air could influence how much snow actually falls. But one thing is certain. The possibility of a blizzard in the deep south is an extraordinary weather event that is already drawing widespread attention. If the forecast holds true, residents across the region may soon witness a rare winter spectacle that will be remembered and discussed for many years to come. Collision of Arctic air and Gulf moisture. The storm is forming because a powerful Arctic cold front is moving south while warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico moves north, creating ideal conditions for heavy snow. One of the most fascinating aspects of this historic winter storm forecast is the powerful atmospheric collision that makes such an unusual event possible. The Deep South is typically known for mild winters, humid air, and temperatures that remain well above freezing for most of the season. Snow is rare not because it is impossible, but because the precise combination of conditions required to produce it does not occur very often. When those conditions finally come together, the result can be dramatic and surprising. At the heart of this developing storm is a strong surge of Arctic air that has begun moving southward from the northern parts of the continent. Arctic air masses form in extremely cold regions near the polar areas, where temperatures drop far below freezing and the air becomes dense and heavy. Occasionally, powerful weather patterns allow this frigid air to escape its usual boundaries and travel much farther south than normal. When this happens, regions that typically enjoy relatively warm winters suddenly experience sharp temperature drops. As this cold air spreads into southern states, it begins to change the entire weather environment. Areas that would normally receive rain during a winter storm suddenly become cold enough for snow. But cold air alone is not enough to produce a major snowfall. Another critical ingredient is moisture, and in the case of the Deep South, that moisture often comes from the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf is a massive source of warm, humid air that feeds many storms across the southeastern United States. When weather systems move across the region, they often pull moisture northward from the Gulf, creating clouds and precipitation. Under normal winter conditions in the South, this moisture simply falls as rain because the temperatures are not cold enough to freeze it into snow. However, when the invading Arctic air meets this warm, moisture-filled air, something remarkable happens. The warm air rises above the cold air, creating thick clouds and heavy precipitation. If the cold air near the ground remains strong enough, the precipitation falling from those clouds freezes into snowflakes before reaching the surface. When the moisture supply is strong and the cold air remains steady, snowfall can become intense and widespread. Meteorologists often refer to this type of setup as a classic winter storm pattern, but it is far more common in northern states than in the Deep South. For southern regions to experience it, the Arctic air must travel an unusually long distance southward while maintaining its strength. At the same time, the Gulf moisture must remain active and align perfectly with the incoming cold air. If either element weakens or shifts direction, the storm may turn into rain instead of snow. This delicate balance is why forecasters are watching the system so closely. Even small changes in temperature, sometimes just a degree or two, can determine whether a community sees heavy snow, icy sleet, or cold rain. Storm track also plays an important role. A slight shift in the storm's path could move the heaviest snowfall hundreds of miles east or west. Despite these uncertainties, the current atmospheric signals suggest that a rare alignment of cold air and Gulf moisture is developing. If the pattern holds, the Deep South could witness snowfall that is not only unusual but potentially historic for some areas. For meteorologists, events like this are both challenging and exciting to track because they demonstrate how powerful and unpredictable the atmosphere can be. As the storm approaches, weather experts will continue analyzing satellite imagery, temperature data, and computer forecast models to better understand how the system will evolve. Residents across the region are being encouraged to stay informed, because when Arctic air and Gulf moisture collide in just the right way, the result can transform a normally mild southern winter into a remarkable snow-covered landscape. Unusual snowfall amounts expected. Some forecasts suggest snowfall levels that may occur only once in a generation for the region, potentially covering cities and towns with several inches of snow. Another reason this developing storm has drawn so much attention is the potential for snowfall amounts that are extremely unusual for the Deep South. In many southern states, winter weather usually means chilly mornings, occasional frost, and perhaps cold rain moving through with seasonal storms. Snowfall, when it does occur, is often light and short-lived. A thin dusting on rooftops or grassy fields may appear for a few hours before melting away as temperatures rise again. Because of this pattern, even a small accumulation of snow can become a memorable event for many communities. What meteorologists are currently forecasting, however, goes beyond the typical southern snow flurry. Some weather models are indicating the possibility of several inches of snow across parts of the region. For areas that may only see measurable snowfall once every few years, this level of accumulation is remarkable. In fact, for certain cities, such totals could rival or even surpass some of the largest snow events recorded in local history. When snow begins to accumulate in places that rarely experience it, the entire landscape can transform almost overnight. Streets, rooftops, parks, and open fields quickly turn white, creating scenes that many residents may have only seen in photographs or movies set in colder climates. Trees that normally remain green throughout winter may suddenly appear dusted with snow, while quiet neighborhoods take on the calm and peaceful atmosphere that often accompanies a fresh snowfall. For many people, especially children, such an event can feel magical. Schools may close, families may gather outside, and communities may experience the rare joy of building snowmen, making snow angels, or simply watching snowflakes fall from the sky. In regions where snow is a regular part of winter life, these activities may seem ordinary, but in the deep south, they can feel like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. At the same time, meteorologists are reminding the public that snowfall of this magnitude can also bring unexpected challenges. Because snow is so uncommon in these areas, the infrastructure is not designed to manage it efficiently. Many southern cities have very few snowplows or salt trucks, since winter storms rarely justify maintaining large fleets of such equipment. As a result, even a few inches of snow can quickly disrupt daily life. Roadways are often the first places where problems appear. Snow that falls during the evening or overnight may freeze as temperatures drop, creating icy surfaces that make driving extremely dangerous. Bridges and overpasses freeze, especially quickly because cold air circulates above and below them. Drivers who are unfamiliar with winter conditions may find it difficult to control their vehicles, increasing the risk of accidents and road closures. Air travel can also be affected when snowfall reaches unusual levels in southern airports. Flights may be delayed or canceled as crews work to clear runways and ensure safe operations. Schools, government offices, and businesses may temporarily close to keep people off hazardous roads, despite these challenges. Weather experts say events like this also provide an opportunity for communities to witness a rare side of nature. The Deep South is known for its warm climate, long summers, and mild winters, but occasionally the atmosphere delivers a surprise that reminds everyone how dynamic and unpredictable weather can be. If the forecasts continue to hold true, many residents may soon wake up to a scene that feels almost surreal, a southern landscape quietly covered in snow. It is the kind of moment that people photograph, share, and remember for years, especially in places where such winter beauty appears only on the rarest occasions. Major travel and infrastructure challenges. Southern areas are not well equipped for snowstorms, meaning icy roads, limited snowplows, and inexperienced winter drivers could cause transportation disruptions and accidents. One of the most serious concerns surrounding a rare winter storm in the Deep South is the challenge it creates for transportation and local infrastructure. Unlike northern regions that experience snow every winter, southern states are not built to handle large amounts of snowfall or icy conditions. This difference means that even a relatively small winter storm can create widespread disruption across cities and towns that are normally unprepared for such weather. Road conditions are usually the first and most immediate problem. In many southern areas, highways and local streets are not routinely treated with salt or de-icing chemicals before a storm arrives. In colder regions of the country, transportation departments often spread salt or brine on roadways in advance to prevent ice from forming. Snowplows and heavy equipment are also readily available to clear snow quickly. In the Deep South, however, these resources are limited because winter storms occur so rarely that maintaining large fleets of snow-clearing vehicles is not practical. When snow begins to fall on untreated roads, it can quickly create dangerous driving conditions. Even a thin layer of snow can become slippery, and when temperatures drop overnight, that snow can freeze into solid ice, black ice, which is a nearly invisible layer of ice on the road surface, is especially dangerous because drivers may not realize it is present until their vehicle begins to slide. Bridges and overpasses freeze even faster than regular roads because cold air flows above and below them, causing the surface temperature to drop quickly. Another major challenge is that many drivers in the region have very little experience operating vehicles in snow or ice. In northern states, people grow up learning how to drive cautiously in winter conditions, adjusting their speed and braking distance to avoid accidents. In contrast, southern drivers may rarely encounter snow-covered roads, which can make the situation more hazardous when winter storms arrive unexpectedly. Sudden braking, sharp turns, or driving too fast on icy roads can easily lead to collisions and traffic blockages. Public transportation systems can also face disruptions during a snowstorm. Bus routes may be delayed or canceled if streets become too slippery to navigate safely. In some cities, rail systems may experience technical issues caused by freezing temperatures or snow accumulation. Air travel can be affected as well. Airports in southern states are not always equipped with the same level of snow removal equipment found in northern airports, so even moderate snowfall can delay flights, while crews work to clear runways and taxiways. Power infrastructure may also face stress during winter storms. Preparation and safety are critical. Officials are advising residents to monitor weather updates, prepare emergency supplies, limit travel during the storm, and stay alert for possible power outages and hazardous conditions.